The year is 2040. President Naledi Modise has just been sworn in as the 8th leader of the Republic. Botswana has leapfrogged Johannesburg and Mauritius as the financial capital of Africa. And the best place on the continent to seek healthcare. Afro Disney in Sibele City is now attracting 10,000 foreign visitors a day. There's 100% employment. And Botswana has achieved high income status, just behind Singapore, Brunei, and Norway. That is the destination. How do we get there? Not long ago, celebrated African orator Professor Plo Lumumba came to Botswana, and he was on BTV. And he said this: there are 2 countries in Africa that should have 100% employment, and those are Botswana and Namibia. His logic was quite simply that given what we have, a country the size of Texas or France, only 2 million people, the world's best diamonds, strong rule of law, no history of strife. It's simply a matter of us harnessing what we have and channeling ourselves to be able to realize our wildest aspirations. 150,000. That's the government statistic for the number of unemployed people in Botswana. 87,000 of those are graduates or have some form of tertiary qualification, the bulk of whom, I presume, are from this institution. These talks are about the gift of the human imagination. Under the series for this, under the title for this series, Switching to the Future. In the time I have with you today, I just want to quickly lay down a 2-pronged plan that I believe could potentially help reduce this figure to 0. If you're looking to create jobs, infrastructure and urban transportation is a good place to start. Look at this. This is me in traffic last week. And I wasn't committing a criminal offense. I used a handheld camera, a Canon, to take this picture. Gaborone is an absolute nightmare to get around. If it weren't for the police, it would be hell. I almost missed this rehearsal and this event, stuck in traffic, but you know, I'm here. You could paint 1,000 of these pictures across Africa, in Botswana, in Gaborone, in Francistown, of the dysfunction of traffic and urban transportation, and you could do the same around the world. So, here's how we fix urban transportation. Our current response to the problem is to build roads and bridges. A stone's throw from where I work, they're building this highway. It's only 18 kilometers long. They're widening it from 2 to 4 lanes. It's costing the taxpayer, you guys, 1.1 billion pula. This picture is of a walkway that goes underneath the road in front of a school. No problem there. So that the school kids can safely cross the road by St. John's. Further down the road, they're building a walkway under the road for cattle. I suspect at these prices it's probably air conditioned. The cattle one, that is. Roads and bridges come at a huge cost, but they don't solve the problem. It's not rocket science to propose that we need alternatives to vehicular transport in Gaborone. Have you ever noticed how wide our railway line reserve is? It's a minimum of 30 meters on either side of the train track. I've been on trains in foreign capitals where the train or the railway line reserve is narrower than this building. It's 30 meters on either side of the train track. On this Google Earth image, taken of Gaborone West and Industrial, it's 90 meters wide. That's the length almost of a football field. And this is a big problem for our city because the train or the railway line dissects the city right down the middle. And this drives up the cost of roads, water, power, sewerage, even transportation, because the distance is longer. So you either need to go over the highway or around it, the railway line reserve, to deliver services, and this increases the cost. But this is also potentially a big asset. You could, based on today's events, propose to build a second republic in the railway line reserve. We have more land than the Vatican, but we could also use it for transportation. So I've designed a train. It's called Tonderai Express. Let me show the seed while it's still early. Actually, it's the Gaborone Urban Rapid Transit System. So using commonly available tools, I've designed a train track of 2 lines. The first one we'll put in the railway line reserve, as I've just motivated for. It runs from west to east and is 14 kilometers long, from Gaborone West Old Naledi to Sebele, with future extensions. This is called light rail, but there are only 2 systems of this kind in Africa. The global cost is on average $50 million to build light rail. But 2 years ago in Ethiopia, they built a light rail system for $15 million a kilometer. I believe we could achieve that here. And it would be potentially cheaper, given that we don't have to acquire or repossess people's homes, houses, and offices and relocate them elsewhere to build the first track, because as I said, we have a railway line reserve that dissects the city. For the second line, it gets a bit more complicated. We'll have to build it on an elevated platform. That line would run from Mohoditsane to Tlokweng, also 14 kilometers. It doesn't feel like it when you're in a combi, though. So the second line would look something like this. If we take the Ethiopian cost and apply it to this model, it's going to cost us 5 billion pula all in. Now that's a lot of money. But we're building roads of 18 kilometers in length for 1.1 billion. It's doable. But supposing it's not, how else could we build this train? Wherever the train grows, it's proven globally that property prices go up. When they built the How train in South Africa, property prices in Rosebank, Sandton, Midrand, and Pretoria went through the roof. There's a construction boom in Midrand right now because of the How train. It gets even better. In Hong Kong and in Tokyo, they've mastered this model. And the train companies there make more money from property than they do from selling train tickets. The same could apply here. Land in Gaborone is expensive, and it's in short supply. With tribal land on one side of the city, the dam on the other, land owned by a religious institution on the other side, there's a very narrow channel through which to grow the city. So, you could use this model in Botswana and build a train. It's called land value capture. And when you combine the train with property, it's called rail plus property. So, looking at figures and benchmarking, I estimate that by introducing an urban rapid transit system to Botswana, to Gaborone, you could create 60,000 jobs. Only 2,000 would be operating the train, maybe 20,000 to construct it, including the elevated platforms. But wherever the train grows, people start building houses, schools, clinics, etc. People can travel longer distances to work, to school, in much shorter times. So that's the efficiency a train brings. So 2,000 jobs operating the train, and 58,000 indirect and induced jobs from the effect of the train on the economy. But the number we're trying to get to is 150,000. And I think this train will bring 60,000 jobs. Where are the rest of the jobs going to come from? In the late 90s, a friend of mine hit a bushbuck driving home in Gaborone. He lived in Pakalani, and back then there was a swathe of virgin land between Pakalani and Gaborone at what is called the College of Agriculture. I suspect he might have also passed through the pub on his way home, hence the incident with the wild animal. Needless to say, it caused a lot of damage to the car, and the animal obviously died on the spot. The university has made tremendous progress since the late 90s. They've since cleared the bush and probably eaten all the animals. But I have a huge problem with this. We are researching weeds and cattle pasture on a vast swathe of land in the middle of our city. It gets better. We're studying entomology, and I went and measured it, on a block of land of 100 hectares. 100 hectares to study the interaction of insects and human beings. Grasshoppers, ants, cockroaches, cricket, tsiahope, lebombo. 100 hectares. Some of you have probably commuted from Kanye, Molepolole, Muchudi to come to school, to go to work, or to go to hospital. But our insects have got the best seats in town, taking up prime land. So, we propose to make this more efficient. Through a public-private partnership, we propose to move the farming activities of one up the road, or the whole university to another town. And then we propose to unlock the value of this farmland and make Gaborone one of the most visited cities in SADC, create jobs and tax revenues for Botswana. We propose to build a smart, new, eco-sustainable city to rival Dubai. We've called it Sibele City. In 20 years, we want Sibele City to provide, among other things, an iconic monument, one of Botswana and Africa's tallest buildings, our largest shopping mall, luxury hotel and conference facilities, a theme park, an aquarium, Kidzania, perhaps even Afro Disney, hundreds of charging stations for electric cars, a new parliament, government enclave 2, and office space and accommodation to cater for our needs for the next 20 years. We estimate that this new city will create a minimum of 30,000 jobs over 15 years. We are in a race against time to realize Botswana and Africa's full potential. We live in one of the most unequal countries in the world, where the gap between the haves in Gaborone and the have-nots in Serenani, Hukunzi, Gobojango, and Bobonong is completely sickening to me. We are all from privilege. To be in this room, there's some sort of privilege happening. All of us have a role to play in creating jobs and prosperity for our fellow citizens to live dignified lives. All of us. With robots, automation, and artificial intelligence threatening some of the jobs we already have, I believe you can create 90,000 jobs from an urban rapid transit system and a new city. but I'm 60,000 jobs short. Where are your ideas? Where are yours? Where are yours? At the back there, where are yours? This is a serious problem, and we have to fix it. I am Tonderai Tsara, and I curate growth ideas for Botswana. Botswana will not rise. Africa will not rise without your ideas. Now, you might think, if I put my ideas out there, they'll get stolen. When you publish your ideas, as I am doing now, streaming around the world, you timestamp their creation. The originality of that idea is unimpeachable. I published mine at 9:30. There's no time on the screen. On Thursday, the 4th of April at the UB. Botswana will not rise, and Africa will not rise without your ideas. So bring them forward and watch them flourish. Thank you.